Hey, welcome to Clarksville Vibe the show where we tell the stories of the people who make Clarksville the best place to live in America. I'm your host, Kevin Kennedy. We got a great show planned for you today. Hey, thank you so much for finding us, engaging with us. We would really appreciate any feedback, great reviews left on any platform that you're watching this on. Hit subscribe so you can get that content as soon as it releases. We are really growing our community, telling this positive story of Clarksville, sharing all the great things about amazing people who are doing awesome things, adding value to our community in so many ways. We've made a focus of telling stories that connect both natives and newcomers. Our community is being filled with people from all over the country. And then there are those of us who are kind of like me, who've been around forever, know a lot of the same people, kind of run in small circles. And we love the newcomers. We love that they're here. They're adding value to our community all the time. But we feel like, there's opportunities for you to hear about some of us who've been around forever. And our guest today is one of those people, just fantastic ambassador for our community. She has served Austin Peay for a very long time. We were on campus together there as students many years ago, and she's been there at Austin Peay working in the alumni area for 15 years now. I think we can affectionately call her Miss Austin Peay. She's been around forever. It's Nikki Peterson, maiden name Loos. So, the Loos family, obviously generations of impact there on campus at Austin Peay. We're so glad to have you here. Nikki, thanks so much for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me. The Miss Austin Peay kind of throws me off. I guess I'll take it.
No, you got to take it.
15 years being there, it tells my age a little bit.
No, well,
but I
then
appreciate
I'm there
you
as
having
old
me.
as you are.
That's
So,
right.
well, we're also really excited about the new transition you have. So you're, saying goodbye to your time at Austin Peay there full time, moving into the real estate world with the Campbell Group. That's an exciting time, great group of people to work with, and just an incredible team. I know they're adding a lot of value to our community as it grows and new people are moving here. What an opportunity for you. So I'm super excited about that.
I appreciate that. It is certainly bittersweet.
Sure.
I can't really kind of put all of my emotions into a way to describe them. I will miss Austin Peay. It's meant so much, not just to me, but to my entire family. If not for Austin Peay, I wouldn't be where I am today with all of the people that have influenced me and kind of raised me as I've been growing. So, bittersweet, but I'm super excited to be working with Marcia Campbell and Casey Tenholder with
Two
the Campbell Group.
people.
They're fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely.
The Campbell Group at Coldwell Banker. So getting to be with Bob Worth and Mark Holloman and that entire group, I'm super grateful and honored to be making that transition. And if you don't know,
she's dropping legends. These guys, legends in our community. So, and what's funny is, we really do try to reach new people who are engaged in our community. Sure. And so when I say the name Loos to someone who's been here less than a year, they have no idea. So let me brag on your family for a minute.
Yeah.
Her dad was a longtime head basketball coach of the men's team here at Austin Peay for 30 plus years.
27
years. Was the athletic director for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Our men's basketball team just has a rich history of success, and a lot of that is due to him. Of course, your older brother is still around town. You're doing fantastic things. You got some other brothers too, but your family just means a lot to this community.
I
so
appreciate
we're
that.
super happy to have you here. So let's talk a little bit about Austin Peay. You grew up there. How old were you when your dad, were you born while he was coach? Or did you move here after you had been born? How did that happen?
My dad coached, he's retired now, but he coached for a total of about 50 years, a little over.
What a legacy.
So when I was born, I was thrown straight into it. He had already had his career path set.
That's cool.
I've got 3 older brothers, David, Todd, and Brad.
Yep.
So they were all raised in the mix of all of it as well. So I was 8 years old when we first moved to Clarksville.
Wow.
We came from Memphis, Tennessee. So he was the assistant under a coach named Larry Finch at what's now the University of Memphis.
Okay.
Back then it was Memphis State.
That's right.
So he was hired on here from Memphis State. So now I look at my family. I have 2 boys, Paxton 12 and Hudson that's 8.
That's
well,
right.
he's 9 now. But I was about Huddy's age when I came to Clarksville. So it's crazy to think about. So I've been here for quite a while now.
That is. Yeah, they're both little studs on the athletic fields themselves. They're fun to watch. Great kids.
Thank you.
So what do you think it is about Clarksville, or it may have just been about Austin Peay, that your family felt comfortable maintaining that long tenure? Because, it seems like to me as an outsider to the athletics world, sometimes those days feel like they're over. The Coach
Totally.
K's, the Coach Looses of this world, who have spent decades on one campus and stayed committed to that local community. I know they have felt support from the community and felt times where, things may not have been as positive with any career that happens. But what is it about the university or the community that you feel like made them stick to it so long?
So I think you pinpointed it. A lot of those older coaches are very traditional. They're very loyal and like to stay with their schools for a longer amount of time. But when my dad came into Austin Peay, I think he always knew that it wasn't just him that was being affected by his career, but it was the entire family. Yeah. And Austin Peay just opened their arms, and the Clarksville community opened their arms to my entire family. Yeah. So that makes you feel good as the leader and the man or the husband of the family, to know that it's not just you that they're accepting, but it's your entire family. Yeah.
That's awesome.
So that totally made a difference, and the fans and the boosters and the community really have, and I say this not trying to be cheesy, but they've helped raise me. They really have, me and my brothers. So the fact that they opened their arms to all of us really made that lasting impact. And with him himself, I think that old school kind of mentality, you want to be somewhere where you can make a lasting impression for quite a while. Sure. And Austin Peay was just the perfect match for that.
And he's done that for generations, and his name will live on for sure. I got a funny story about your dad.
Yeah, please.
One of my childhood stories. So, of course, there's the Dave Loos basketball camp.
That's right.
That anyone who grew up here and had any interest in basketball, you attended the Dave Loos basketball camp. Yeah. And it was, back then, I don't know if they still do this on camps. Your mom drops you off 9 to 12 or something like that. But it's 5 days in a row. And you've got the concession stand where I'm sure they're probably trying to make all the money that they're losing from letting you come to this camp for essentially nothing. And so your dad's standing there, there's 200 or 300 campers. He's got a ball, and, the way they had practice in the Dunn Center, you've got the two main goals that they would play games on. Sure. But then when they had practice, you would have two additional kind of half courts, right? So he's standing over by one of the half court goals, and he's got all of our attention, in his real commanding way. And he says, if I make this shot, then everyone here is going to get Airhead from the concession stand. And, one of the players comes up, she goes, no. If you make this shot, you make them give you an Airhead or whatever. And so they're going back and forth. Finally, it comes up to, like, if I miss this shot, then everyone gets it, right? Nice. And so third grader, he's 40, 50 feet away from the main goal that he's talking about. Third, fourth grade, we're like, Airheads, this is awesome. All he's got to do is miss. He's not going to make this shot, Well, sure enough to us, like, we were totally full for it. He's standing under one of the side basketball goals, right? And, they've kind of hyped it up, like, you can't make this 50-foot shot. And he goes, oh no, I'll make this shot, guaranteed, right here. And so he, like, does a 90-degree pivot and hits a little layup right off of the goal that he's basically standing under. And I just remember
all of the kids' dreams.
It's like the whole thing just comes down, and I don't know why. It's funny how your childhood, you latch on to these memories. But that was one of them.
Well, it crushed your Airhead dreams.
That's right.
I totally would have latched on
Which,
to that.
as a dentist now, I'm not too mad about it, right? So that's my great Dave Loos story. I had great memories. I was in the Govs gang, when you had the little seating kind of towards the side. Those were the Bubba Wells days.
That's right.
My parents,
the
were
Govs
lucky
gang
enough
t-shirts
to. I sure did. I wish I still had one. That's one of those things that probably, like the Clarksville Coyotes have.
Awesome.
They'd sell all out in the museum.
Vintage logo. That's right.
Well, let me ask you this. So you grew up around Austin Peay basketball. Do you have a favorite team?
Oh gosh, you can't ask me that question.
I can. Most of these guys won't know.
Okay, and let me route it this way. I would say I have many favorite teams. Okay. But one of my favorite would have to be a team that played while I was in college. Yeah. So because I danced and was so close to some of those players at that time, it was a very kind of brother-sister relationship. Sure. So I can say that the year, I would say 2004. So 2003, 2004, that OVC championship team with Adrian Henning and Rhett Wiersba, Anthony Davis. Corey Gibson was older on that team. But that whole group was just so impressive and worked so hard. And their defense, I think I've always been such a big fan on the defensive end. They were gritty, man.
If I remember correctly, I think that team went undefeated in the OVC.
They went 16-0,
which is just
unfathomable
to think of right now.
That's right.
That was my freshman year on campus.
Yeah, okay.
And I totally took it for granted.
Yeah.
You just have no idea the success. But I think if we were to see the team now get to 8-0 in the OVC, and you're like, man,
impressive.
This is a crazy run they've just done. And to think that team went 16-0, I think was what it was at that time in the OVC, and achieve what they achieved. And we're almost 20 years later than that. You snap your finger, and that time goes by so much, and no team has really risen to that level. But that was a special team.
It was
crushing. I felt the defeat when they had their final game, and you saw Rhett just kind of collapse on the floor. That emotion, like that was just an amazing team to experience. And I wish with anything that I could go back as a student and really rally more support, because that was so unique. I'm glad you said that, because we were on campus.
That. It's funny, we had an alumni reunion not too long ago for basketball, and so we had that team along with the 2008 team that also won an OVC championship, and they kind of went head to head. If they played against each other now, how would it be? Yeah, it was pretty fun to think back to all those memories.
Yeah. So speaking of your time at Austin Peay, that's where you met your husband, Jake.
That's right.
He's a baseball player.
Yeah.
And so you guys have been married for a long time. Great family. You mentioned your two boys. They're keeping you busy. So what are you up to running them around all over the state these days?
Oh my goodness, it's insane. Yes, I met Jake on the campus of Austin Peay. He is from Denver, Colorado.
I did not know that.
Yeah, he was recruited to Austin Peay out of junior college. He played in Kansas, was recruited to come here to play baseball. So it's funny how we've been in Clarksville forever, but I ended up pulling in someone from Denver, Colorado. So it worked out perfectly. He loves Clarksville so much, so wanted to stay in this area as well. Yes, we have two boys. Paxton is 12. Hudson is now 9. So a middle schooler and a third grader, and they keep us so busy. Like, I am definitely human taxi cab, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah,
like, there's
it's fun
nowhere
times.
else I'd rather
Snap your
be.
fingers and it'll be over.
That's right. So we're, on the baseball field every weekend. They also play basketball and golf. And then Huddy's now wanting to go into football. I know you have background with that. Awesome. So you've had some experience there. So, so they keep us busy, but I'm telling you what, I wouldn't change it for anything in the whole wide world.
Yeah, that's awesome. So Jake is now athletic director at Clarksville Academy.
Right. Yeah.
I know your family, your nephew had a great basketball career there at Clarksville Academy. And Jake has played a huge role in kind of, I don't want to say rejuvenating, but bringing a lot of life to the athletic department, of achieving a lot of things and allowing them to, achieve some new heights. My question to you would be, what's one thing you're most proud of him for that he's done at the Academy?
Goodness. And I would say this is for the Academy and just his life in general. He is, and I'm bragging about my husband, but that's okay. I'm going to brag on him.
This is the time to do it.
Just an amazing role model and mentor. I think it takes a special personality to work with kids.
Yes.
And especially that age groups, from anywhere from kindergarten all the way up to high school.
Yeah.
You have to have, number one, a lot of patience. And just, you have to be the type of person that a kid can trust and want to follow. Kids have to buy into your system.
Sure.
And I think he does a really good job at mentoring and being a role model. And so to have him as the father of our kids, I'm so lucky, because he does such a good job in that realm.
You hear that consistently. And the types of kids that grow up playing sports at the Academy, they're good kids of character, kids who want to work hard. And, that kind of culture within an athletic department, it comes from the AD, hiring the right coaches, setting the right expectations, having the right kids when some kid maybe doesn't meet that, like, having some tough decisions sometimes, but then always still pioneering new movement to bring kids in to this, so that your kids who are there, you can just achieve new things, win new games. I've just been perpetually and continually impressed with what he's doing over there. I think that's awesome.
I appreciate that. He has a huge love for Clarksville Academy.
Yeah.
Really
and it's great. I didn't know that he had come here from Kansas or was originally from Denver. I think, that just goes as a testament to the value that newcomers, however long they've been there, if they've been here 20 years like he has, or 2 years like we're experiencing so many, newcomers to our community add so much value to what we're able to achieve and accomplish together. And he's just an example of that. Super thankful for him.
I appreciate that.
Well, and then so after graduation at Austin Peay, you moved into this role now working on campus for a long time. You worked in the alumni department there, just engaging alumni, which with your name recognition was easy for you. You had all these relationships.
Well, and I think it's funny that you say that. When I started in this career path, I actually started in athletics.
Okay.
So I graduated and went to the College of Charleston and worked in sports marketing there.
Cool.
Then ventured over to Middle Tennessee in sports marketing there, and finally made my way back to Clarksville.
Gotcha.
My husband was the assistant baseball coach at the time for Gary McClure in Austin Peay baseball. So I needed to find a way to kind of venture back to Clarksville. So we made it work. And that's when I was hired in under the alumni relations role as special events. And then now, awesome. Alumni director. So it worked
there are
out.
lots of us, because I spent 7 years away from Clarksville.
Sure.
How long were you gone?
Probably a total of 3.5, maybe. Not long.
I look back at it with such fondness, and especially from those of us who were kind of natives and grew up in, not a prominent out of distinction family, but just a well-known family, to be able to spend a small season of our life outside of this place. You don't know who I am. I'm just grinding. I'm trying to, establish myself in this world, and then coming back and being fully embraced, not rejected in any way, fully embraced as a part of the community has just been fantastic.
Yeah, and you can create your own identity, and I think that's a good thing. And one thing is, I'm so passionate and love Austin Peay so much, but one thing that I have learned from being away and creating my own identity and being independent is I don't necessarily have to have that Austin Peay across my forehead to be my own person.
Yes.
But am I appreciative of all that it's given to me?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. I wouldn't be where I am today without it. But
and I don't think Austin Peay would be where they are right now without you.
Thank you.
And I don't mean that to puff up smoke, because really the engagement and the, activity in the alumni department, I feel like has, really taken a turn, as evidenced by this candlelight ball is just, amazing now. It's a whole different event. People don't realize what it was and now what it is.
Sure.
And since I mentioned it, when I was in Memphis thinking about moving back to Clarksville, I thought, man, I think I would like to live back in Clarksville, but I just don't want to do the old things that everybody else does. Like, I'm not going to the candlelight ball. I'm not doing this thing.
I understand.
I'm just going to live my life and, kind of make my own path. And sure enough, now it's marked on our calendar every single year. Adanya loves it. And it's grown from what I feel like was 200 or 300 people. I went my senior year in college. My dad wanted me to go because I was in the student government or whatever. He wanted me to be there. Adanya, we were just engaged, and he wanted her to come with me. Sure. And so now, gosh, all these years later, it's 700 people. It is I think it's Clarksville's premier event every year for people to look forward to. But tell me a little bit about, what do you think changed the trajectory on it? What made more people get excited about it, and how did you engage that younger demographic to where you've got, it's as many people who are under 40 as who have been going for 30 years. Right.
I have got to give all the credit where the credit is due, and it's not me. It is the committee that works hand in hand with myself and the alumni relations staff. They're phenomenal. They're made up right now of a group of about 17 women in the Clarksville area. And let me just say, this is a group who everyone knows. They know, they open their arms out to the community, and everybody wants to be involved and get to hang out with them. They're a great group of women. So when I first started at Austin Peay, it was a smaller, more intimate event, but still phenomenal. I think we had about 175 attend.
That's good to know. Yeah.
But they, and they still raised a lot of money and had a great time. But I think when I started and we worked with the committee and kind of got thoughts of what they wanted to do, we were ready to grow and expand. Now we're at 700 and at the Omni, and it's such a fun event. I have to say, as much as I love everything about Austin Peay and what I get to do, the candlelight ball is by far one of my most favorite things that I've gotten to be involved in.
And what I've realized this year, obviously we had the break from COVID and you came back, there's this long anticipated event this year.
Right.
There were people that were there that were taking pictures, and I saw flipping through the magazines or, online the next day. I didn't even see them. 700 people.
That's
I mean,
right.
you snap your fingers and you will not catch everyone who's there.
And I think one thing that's so important, at least to me, when I think about Austin Peay and the events that we host and the alumni relations and gatherings, is number one, I always wanted to be aware of the loyals there, the traditionals, the people who built Austin Peay and laid the foundation for what it is today. And that goes to say that the Candlelight Ball is the same way. You always want to be aware and recognize and honor those people who started this event. But then you want to bring in new people to get to experience the fun. And so you can mix the young with the old, but always pay attention to and honor those who helped start and lay the foundation for Austin Peay.
Yeah, it's a lot of years of, attending when it maybe didn't have the profile that it does now. And you're, like you said, there's people with 30 years of attendance.
Well,
of
and your family
event.
is one of them. I have to say, your parents, and, I think about the Wendell H. Gilberts and Fred Landis and Kevin Kennedy and Rhonda and Sammy Stewart. There's so many people that have just done so much for this community in Austin Peay and the Candlelight Ball. So we always need to make sure to honor them and recognize them where it needs to be deserved.
They definitely deserve it.
Well.
I'll give them that.
For sure.
I'll think if I did something for 35 years, a little recognition.
Absolutely.
Yeah, sure. Well, so, even now that you're transitioning maybe out of Austin Peay as your full-time profession, career, you're still calling Clarksville home. You're not leaving Clarksville. What is it that you're excited about for Clarksville's future? Because you've, like me, you went to Northeast, where when we were there, exit 1 was the Legends Bank and a gas station.
Right.
And now you drive by and literally it's as congested and crazy as Wilma Rudolph is. So there's just tremendous growth. But what makes you excited about Clarksville to where you would say, hey, I'm basically a lifelong Clarksvillian. Wasn't necessarily born here, kind of moved away and came back, but I'm not really interested in going anywhere else.
Clarksville offers so much that other towns and cities just don't.
I agree.
It is big in numbers now, what I would call big in numbers, but it still has that small town mentality to where you still know people on a name-to-name basis. You can still go into a grocery store or a restaurant and be familiar and feel comfortable with the people that you're around. I feel that I can, at least when the boys are at school at Clarksville Academy down at a complex, I can let them go off and play a little bit and feel comfortable with the people that they're around. And that's not just saying with Clarksville Academy, that's Clarksville in general.
That's
just knowing your surroundings and knowing the people you're around. And it gives you that good heartwarming feeling, the businesses and industries that are coming into this town. It's just amazing. So it's just growing leaps and bounds every day. And I'm so excited that my family and I can be a part of it.
Yeah. I love that. I feel like our leadership at the top level in our city and county governments are aligned and moving in the forward direction. We've got the impact coming. That's going to be very exciting. It's going to be crazy to watch the Govs play.
Oh, man.
Not in the Dunn Center.
Isn't it?
Right?
Oh, my goodness. And, I don't know exactly when that will be open and ready to go. Sooner than later, but I know not quite yet. But when it is, what a transition. What an asset for the city, for the community.
It will be different, though. I remember being a kid watching Bubba Wells and Trenton Hassel play, and it's like we would go, and a couple of my buddies we'd sit on the lower deck. My parents would sit there, and we'd go play in those little hallway corridors behind the glass doors. Get a piece of pizza and wrap tinfoil up into a ball, and you're like playing handball in there. And but that was the old school Dunn Center, and love it. And
but change is growth,
right?
So it's a good thing.
It's a good thing, and I think it's gonna allow the program and the community to have new teams come here, have new events, things like that. We're going to have a lot of good time. Well, are you ready for a lightning round?
I'm ready. Let's do it. That sounds fun.
All right. You're playing basketball in your driveway with your family of 4. Who is the best trash talker?
Hudson, by far. Are you kidding me? And that's the thing with Huddy. Like, I'm just waiting for the day, and I hate saying this, but there's going to be a fist in his face because he talks so much trash, and he doesn't care if you're 50 or you're 6. He's going to talk some trash.
Well, when your little brother in the sports family, second generation or third generation of a big sports family, you got to learn how to hold your own.
He can hold his own. That's right.
That is classic. Okay, tough question. You're probably not going to want to answer this, but all-time starting 5 for the Govs.
Oh my gosh. Like I can pick from different teams?
Absolutely.
All right, got to go Trenton Hassel, Bubba Wells.
Yeah, right off the top.
Let's go. Oh man, Drake Reed.
Oh, good one. Yeah.
Gosh, this is a lot. This is tough. I'm going to go Corey Gibson for the defensive end.
That's
and
huge.
let's go with Nick Stapleton or DJ Wright as point guard.
As point guard.
God, and you got to have Joe Sibbett on that group off to the
It's
side
so
too for his
funny
shooting
you
abilities.
mentioned that.
Man,
He was like one of my, it's like when Joe Sibbett worked the Dave Loos basketball camp.
Man, he's
Joe
great,
Sibbett,
wasn't he?
I know, he
so
really
awesome.
was.
And I say Corey Gibson on defense. You can't forget Jermaine Savage as well. And his son, Jared, played for the Peay too. But defensive leaders out there.
Kind of tells you our generation too.
Oh,
totally. The old heads are going to look at your list and be like, "Oh, you're forgetting
Terry Taylor." Like, you got to put Terry.
I know.
Chris Horton. Man, there's too many. I'd
Horton.
have to have about 3 teams.
And who was the center that had the block against Murray? Last name
Lewis.
Josh Lewis.
I'm telling you, there's so many. It's hard to choose.
That kind of progression from Josh Lewis to Zach Slater, was a fun time because they were just like, really talented.
Gritty too,
centers that played here. Yeah, that's cool. All right. Are you a YouTube watcher? Do you watch YouTube occasionally?
I don't.
Okay, fair enough.
Maybe every now and then people send me something, but I don't. My boys do.
Yeah, YouTube is fantastic. It's fantastic at giving you recommendations for what they think you're gonna like.
Okay.
So maybe just check that out. But if it's not on YouTube, what's on your playlist in your car, music wise?
Look, so I am the DJ for all of my boys' baseball teams.
Okay.
So that's middle school,
that's mom role. Yes.
Yeah, I am the DJ. So my playlist is nothing but tons of 90s hip hop, old school, clean rap. Love some 90s hip hop. That's right.
Yeah.
And then on the random side, I love Michael Bublé. So So it's a good mixture. Heidi would say DaBaby. He is a big DaBaby.
Fair enough. Yeah. See, I've missed that generation.
Me too. So I scan all over the place. I do.
That's awesome.
Yeah. 90s hip hop.
Okay. So you're when you run an alumni department, you're an organizational guru.
Sure.
So tell us one app or like system that's technology driven that you feel like you can't live without.
Okay, let me rephrase this by saying I'm pretty old school.
Okay.
So I'm not totally all about softwares and apps.
Yes. Okay.
And I like to do stuff by hand to the point where I have software that can build your layout for the ballrooms for you. Yeah. Okay. But I like to take a Sharpie and start. So that, as terrible as that is, and as old as that makes me sound, I'm pretty old school. I like writing stuff in a planner. I don't like putting it in my phone. I like checking it off. Okay. So very OCD and very detailed, but in an old school way. Yeah.
So you're gonna have your hands full with all these like purchase agreements that are like DocuSign and email to this person. Right. Like, can I print it off and drive it to you? There's only 40 signatures.
Right now, yeah, man.
But technology just changes so much. Donnie's the same way. She still keeps a paper calendar, but it's all about personality. It's about comfort. It's about figuring out how your productivity can, keep moving you forward.
Sure.
Well, I guess last question for you is, what are you most excited about entering into the real estate world? It's a fun profession. It has a lot of challenges. Obviously, time is fairly unique right now. I think when you talk to the Mark Hollemans of the world, you're like, whoa, this is a crazy time right now. But you've got the personality, you've got the network, you've got the skills and all those things. What's Nikki excited about as far as doing real estate?
Let me start that question by saying I've gotten so many people come up to me and have asked, why are you what are you thinking? So
they don't believe in you as much as I do, because I think you're going to kill it.
And they'll say you'll do great, and I appreciate people saying that, whether it's true or not. I appreciate that. But I think me leaving Austin Peay has been kind of surprising to some people. But let me start by saying that my family is number one, by far the most important thing in my life and priority to me when it's here on earth. My family takes precedence over everything. So because of the schedule of my boys and my husband and everything that goes on, I'm ready to do whatever I can to still make a huge impact for my family, but do it in a way to where we can do everything we need to do. Sure. So I think that real estate is the way to hopefully do that. Yeah. So that's number one. So I love Austin Peay, but my family has to take priority. I am so excited to stay within the Clarksville area with all the people that I've grown to love and know and have accepted me and my family and just open arms has taken us in. So I get to do that now, and still be involved with Austin Peay, but get to do this, get to do real estate in a new path. And I'm so excited to do that, especially with Marsha and Casey and Coldwell Banker.
Sure.
I couldn't be more happy.
Yeah, awesome people. Well, I mean, for one, I think you and Marsha and Casey are going to be one of the many people who are when you're interested in Clarksville, they've made that random Google search, they're thinking about buying a home here from wherever, you're the first impression. So we're lucky to have you on the front lines of that. By the time they get here and they start looking for a kid's dentist, they've already got an opinion of Clarksville, what it's like. And so it's fun for me to kind of ask, like, what was your journey to Clarksville like,
And that's the fun stuff. It is to help
huge.
People
Absolutely.
Find their dream home, but find their community and find what makes them happy and their kids happy. And I'm excited to do that.
But you guys in real estate really set the tone for
thank you.
How people feel about this place before they ever get here.
You're
obviously
right.
There's so much traffic and transactions among people who are already here, going to another place or things like that. But as our community grows and as newcomers continue to enter into our community, I'm thankful that there's people like yourself who have long time connections and really value Clarksville for what it was and what it is and what it will be. And all of those are equal. There's not one that's more important than the other. We're not trying to prevent you, from taking us to a new place. We're happy to go there.
Right. Absolutely.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us. This has been a really fun conversation.
Fun.
Some good memories, some, fun times talking about Austin Peay basketball a little bit.
Thanks for doing this. This is great. I love what you're doing.
Cool. Well, hey, if you're in our audience and made it to the end of this episode, thank you so much. We're, thrilled that you're continuing to join us. Hey, if you would, we would really appreciate you just interacting with us some way on any online platform. Leave us a review, hit subscribe, do something that would help increase our engagement so more people can find out about how amazing Clarksville is, about all the talented people like Nikki, like all of our other guests who are just making Clarksville an amazing place to be. Thanks so much, and we'll see you on the next episode, releasing every Friday.